And spawning in the bottom right hand corner of side Delta, we have our South Korean Terran player, the Blue Terran, representing Team Liquid. It is Cure. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Protoss player, the Red Protoss, representing himself, currently teamless, the returning ex-military Protoss. It is Stats. As Cure, hello Bobby, is setting his SCV across the map as we speak. We do have a Rax back at home, but if I'm not mistaken, I believe this SCV was rallied here towards the left-hand side. And this could be, yeah, for an eBay block. We do have an eBay block coming in from Cure. Going to be disrupting the opener of Stats. This is an opener that has fallen off. This was very popular back in December of 2023, and even in the first half of January. Basically, in the new patch, because of the new Cyclone, this became a very common opener to force the Protoss to expand elsewhere, to take the unnatural natural, take the linear third or the triangular third as their natural base, and if they were to do that, we'd one base all in. We'd go for a fast factory into Cyclones, into Hellions, and we would break the Protoss. And we saw many Protoss players fall. We saw many Protoss players struggle and get punished and die horribly back in December and early January. Since then, Protoss players have gotten better at defending. Oh, that's a second eBay thrown down. Oh my god, second eBay thrown down. Factory is on the way for that Cyclone production. And Stats refuses to expand elsewhere. All 4 Cs cancels. eBays are cancelled. A lot less mine time. We do expand here at the natural. But again, this build did fall off because Protoss players became that much more adept at scouting and denying the eBays. We saw players like MaxPax, Hero, Classic, Showtime. They all adapted and they all got really good at just preemptively scouting the natural and denying the eBay, essentially. Stats, his response was a little bit shaky. It was a little bit of a shaky response, but he does get his natural base up and running. Cure doesn't go for the Cyclone because he sees that Stats hasn't exposed himself because he's still expanding here on location. He's happy forcing lost mining time, delaying the economy, and just getting to Hellion instead. Now, this is a delayed CC for Cure. That's just how the build works out because we do focus on that factory production despite the single gas. So this is a delayed CC, but Stats is far more behind than Cure. The eBay block has done its job. Hellion moving out for a scout. We've yet to really get into our tech. Again, like this opener for Stats is just really uncomfortable and really awkward because of how late the expansion is. And there it is. Twilight Council's on the way. It is going to be a Twilight Council opener here from Stats. This should be leading into Blink, and we'll see how committed we are. We casted a lot of Stats' TvP yesterday. We did cover him against Bunny, against Oliveira, and Stats has been going for, or did go for every single game, went for a Twilight Council into Blink. He mixed it up. There were some games where we went 3-gate Blink, other games where we went 2-gate Blink into a third. I don't think we saw him go for 4-gate Blink. Don't think that was ever on the table. As Cure going for a very early Marine drop. Oh my. It is spotted by Stats, big scouts, does get eyes on the drop, does get eyes on the Marines. They do not have Stim, they have vanilla Marines. And Stats, he is in position. Hallucination goes down. You're not really finding that much success, not yet. As he is denied entry into the main. Behind this, getting into really early tank production here. Again, it was a single Hellion into one Winter Mine into the Tech Lab into tanks. So really early tank play. We do see 3 gateways, so it is going to be 3-gate Blink. Essentially, with 3-gate Blink, it's a very safe opener from Stats. With this, we should be expanding and taking a third, but we also will have a decent Stalker count to push back the army and to even counterattack. Stats does have that available. Getting a lot of damage done on that medevac. Medevac does get low. does get awfully low here as behind this we're getting into a 3-1-1 setup. Pretty standard setup here on two bases by Cure. Going for Raven harass towards the left hand side. Medvac does race back home. We have Hellions just scouting, looking for a third. Speaking of, there's that third base. And interesting. So I expected this to be 3-gate blink into a third into Colossus production. That's just what I assumed would be the case. That is not the case. Instead of Colossus, we have a Forge and we have a Templar Archives thrown down. This is going to be... Wait, am I crazy? Yeah, there it is. We have the Templar Archives thrown down. This is going to be for Archon production for charge lots. So it's going to be Charge Lot Archon Storm as a follow-up, not Colossus. But actually, coming back in. There it is. Storm is on the way. Is on the way here for stats. So more of a unique build, not unheard of, but a little bit more niche here from stats. Straying away from the Colossus. It is risky, obviously high risk, high reward. Storms, they can annihilate a bio army, or they could graze it, and we could even lose our High Templar, and things can very quickly snowball in favor of Cure. So it is a little bit risky here. We'll see if stats can make use of it. Raven tries to go in, sees the Stalkers, backs up, wants none of that. Observer for stats gets eyes on the third CC on location. Now stats knows it's not a 2-base all in. He also has eyes on the main army, so if there was a move out, stats would know. Stats would be aware of it. Marine going to be going down. Observer repositioning. Zealots are amassing. High Templar morphed in. And stats, he isn't looking to push out. Oh! So trying to pick up any stray units here. We got eyes on the Observer. But he has Storm, and he's going to be maintaining himself here on Storm, on Charge Lots, and he's working towards eventually those Colossus. The Bay is on the way. Stats is going to be refining his army. He's going to be refining that army. Prism is on the way as well. We could even try and go for Storm Drops. Again, a little bit more old school, a little bit out of fashion, but we could try to go for them. Let's go. Prism does join the main army. High Templar loaded in, just to keep them safe, and we are pushing. We are moving out. Army soon to clash. Here he scans, he sees the third, he sees the lack of army. Doesn't know where it is, and we'll pull back. I mean, he has vision in the center of the map, and yeah, Cure, he will soon get eyes on the army of stats. Does reposition as a result. Trying to keep up. Yeah, looking for the army. Finds the Zealot. Stats taking a fourth. Extento Molance on the way. Colossus production should be underway as well. Soon. No Colossus yet. We should also be working on a second Robo for double Disruptor, sorry, double Colossus production. As yes, that's just posturing in the center of the map, doesn't commit. Cure likewise taking a very defensive stance. Again, I'm sure stats wanted to engage in the center of the map. That's the strength of Zealots, especially because in the center of the map there's no Sim City. There's very little terrain that can work against you. So pushing in with Charge Lots is inadvisable. There we go. Cure is moving out. Mine Shot going to be going off. Army has been spotted. Here come the Storms. Oh, first one is spent, is wasted here, zoning away the army. Not the best use of that Storm. You're rotating around. Colossus are soon amassing. Again, you can see... Yes, that's okay. He's going for a big warp in, working towards a Stargate. Working towards Skytos. We'll see if stats can get there. That's Cure. He's maxed out. He's maxed out here with a Biotank army. He has Ghost for EMPs. It's going to be all about the Spellcasters. Can we EMP the High Templar? Can we storm the army? Good storm here. We do soften up those Widow Mines, but they do survive. 2 storms thrown down. We still have more. Big anti-armor missile here on the army, and a cure goes for a drop into the main base. A double Stargate and a fleet beacon on the way. We're trying to get to the Sky Toss. High Templar being focused down. Oh, big target firing here out of cure. Gets the High Templar, and he will shut down +1. That's going to be a kill in the Cyber Core. Zealot Rumbai does get in. But there's a bunker. There's a bunker to defend. Cure is fine. He does hold. And again, Stats being a little bit too greedy, rushing into Sky Toss. So has to deal with this army. And how many Colossus does he have? 2. 2 Colossi. Carriers on the way. A storm on a handful of Marines. Zealot Rumbai gets cleaned up. Can Stats deal with this army? Now, the longer that we wait, the more carriers are going to be amassing. True. Looking at the vision, we did get eyes on all the Stargates. Here should be aware, and yeah, he's working on +1 ship weapons. Additional Raxes. No second starports. I'm not entirely certain that Cure is aware of the Sky Toss. He should have realized that the Cybercore was researching. That's true. Yeah, there it is. Second Stargate. Sorry. I keep saying Stargate. Second Starport on the way. You know what I mean. Second Starport on the way for more Viking production. For eventually Liberators. Fusion Core on the way for Liberator range. Yo, where are we going? Because the factory gets the hell out of the main. We're done with the factory production. Scan gets eyes on the ground army. Cure is moving out. Here we go. Storm here on the Vikings. Big anti missile once again on those Stalkers. The carriers, they have right, but we're zoned away here from our 4th base. The 4th is going to go down. We do catch the tanks. Tanks are picked up. And Cure, can we engage? Storm zones away the army, does graze it. This army is so bad, it is so bruised, it's so overstimmed. And Cure is being forced back. He cannot stand his ground. His army is so low, and we save the 4th base. Getting a 5th and a 6th, double expanding. Bold move here out of Stats. Mothership is on the way. That is going to add a little bit more maneuverability to the army. We're going to have 2 recalls available. That is more High Templar. The one thing that we're missing here is Disruptors. I would love to see Disruptors here for Stats. The reason why is that EMPs can shut down High Templar. EMPs don't do anything against Disruptors. They don't negate the Nova. It's a good way to support this kind of army. I mean, both have their role, right? Like, Disruptors can zone away the Ghosts. Meanwhile, Storms can zone away the Vikings. Catch a Ghost. We get 1. We get 2. 2 Ghosts go down. We do engage. Big EMP here on the Stalkers. Stats is forced to blink back. But how many carriers? We have hit critical mass here. 4, 5 carriers. Soon to be 6 carriers here on the field. Float is activated. Slow zone thrown down. Oh, the Colossus come down. The Colossus, they overextend. Both Colossus fall. But we get a kill in the planetary. Stats bleeding out a lot of units. Again, he's on 5 carriers. A big EMP here on the High Templar, but there's still 3 more behind this. We still have more Storms. Storm zones back the army. Ooh. We have 1 High Templar left, I believe. With Storm. EMP misses. Oh, EMP does connect. Towards the end. The Storm does miss. Yeah, we have to back off. I believe we have run out. Gonna be retreating. We kill the base. Cure. Down to 4 CCs. Waiting for a triple drop. Stats, there we go. Reinforcing with more High Templar. 3 High Templar hit towards the north. More reinforcing. Plenty more High Templar on the way. But can Cure pull stats apart? Because there's not much here to defend. No shield battery. No cannons. No static defense. And we dive on the High Templar. We do focus him down. We'll force the Archon even. Soldiers do keep up. Do force this back. Stats, he can keep pushing. Does blink forward, does get the last medevac. Marines are going down, and against Stats, he's gotten away with this Sky Toss. He's gotten away with the Vikings. They come in. How many Vikings? 12. Ooh, but you see the Storm zone those Vikings back. But again, Cure, he has a pretty decent army composition. Like, he's maxing out here on Bio Ghost Viking. It's okay. Ideally, we would have Ghost Viking Lib. Like, Liberators are much more ideal when it comes to supporting the ground army and supporting those Ghosts. They're less vulnerable to things like Storms as well. That is something we are lacking. We have the Fusion Core, and quickly checking, we do not have Liberator range, so we're not quite ready for it. We lift up the main base, take it as a 5th. Bit of desperation there out of Cure, but Cure is maxed. Is maxed out. That's likewise pushing on the right hand side. Now he's getting to his second robo. Well, I imagine double disruptor production. I imagine. Well, Cure, he's out of position. Planetary is going to be going down. We do get 2 bases. At the same time, Cure is going to get a kill on this Nexus. We can recall back home after we kill these bases, or we can commit to the base trade. Do we keep pushing? What is there at home to defend? There's 1 Widowmine on the low ground. There's nothing in the main base. Stats, he could go right for the throat. As Cure, he gets 1 base. He's going for the southern bases as well. Stats, keep going. Doesn't go for the natural. Doesn't go for the main. He's going for the third. Yeah, a safer move here out of Stats, but he could have gone for the kill. As he does get a kill in this third base, going for the 4th. Yeah, forcing Cure to just lift up and get the hell out of here. As Stats, he still has the stronger main army, and Cure, he's gonna try to fight. He's gonna try and take a main fight here. Again, that's a lot of Vikings. 15. The EMPs gets High Templar. Oh, big moment actually. 3 High Templar gets shut down. EMPs once again on the Stalkers as well. Stats, he's in a bit of trouble. Clutch Cloak. We only have 1 orbital, right? Oh, there we go. Orbital does land. We have a couple of scans available. Do have some scans. Here he's on the chase. Stats, he's remaxed. You're pulling the boys. He pulls the boys, Papi. We're up to 10 High Templar. We have the Storms again. We do have Storms available. Good EMP. We connect with that 1 High Templar, but there's 3 more behind this. And 5 just got warped in. So many High Templar. And the Storms are the one thing keeping Cure from just stimming on forward and diving on the army. And there are so many Storms. Oh my god. Forcing out more Archons. Another Storm here that we just take to the face. We run into the Storm. The army, it's so bad and so bruised. No more Storms left. And we just sim on forward. But Stats, he should have enough. We do deny the warp in. We deny the warp in. We're barely stimming on forward. We get on top of the army. Disruptor shot goes off. The Novas have arrived. We connect here on a Ghost, on a Marauder. He's just completely all in here. We reinforce with more Stalkers and we clean this up. Stats, he holds. He barely holds on. GG gets called and Stats takes game number 1. Whew. GG. Oh my god. GG, well played. Stats fighting back, getting away with his sky toss as well. Remember, he rushed into those 3 Stargates, and we spoke about it. We spoke about how in that moment, Cure had an advantage. He could have pressed it, could have kept pushing, but he didn't. And I think maybe he didn't click on the buildings. Remember, when he saw the main base, he saw 1 Stargate, but he saw the other 2 morphing, but maybe he didn't click on them, maybe didn't click. Took him a while to really get into the Vikings that he needed. As a result, stats he was able to stabilize, able to get into his 4, eventually 5, eventually 6 base setup. He got away with the carriers, and Stats was able to accomplish quite a lot with it. Accomplished quite a lot. Also, clearly the MVPs, the High Templar, the Storm. The Storms were the MVPs. They, time and time again, connections on the army, zoning the army away. There were a couple of like lackluster storms here and there, but we always had additional storms in the chamber. Or if we ever ran out, which did happen a couple of times, Stats would just retreat. Like if we ever ran out of storms, we just back off, calm down, regenerate energy, come back in. GG. GG, well played. Really patient play there out of Stats. Whew. As we are headed into game number 2, as we're going into Oceanborn. Under the sea. Let's go. Let us go. Oh, thank you, Cheese and Pickles. Thank you, thank you. That's yes. Hope you're all having a good day. Hope you're all enjoying yourselves as we find ourselves in game number 2 and spawning in the top left-hand corner of Oceanborn. We have our red Protoss player leading the series 1-0, 1 game away from winning it all, as it is a best of 3, not a best of 5. Representing himself, it is Stats. Whew. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Terran player, the blue Terran representing Team Liquid. Down in this series, going for a proxy. It is Cure. Uh-oh. Not just any proxy, we're committing with a second SCV. Cure, he's had enough. He saw the late game of Stats. He saw the sky toss. He wants none of it. He's like, no, not anymore. We're going into some proxy raxes instead. Let's go. Meanwhile, Stats going for a probe scout. He's heading out across the map, trying to get a read on what's going on. Trying to piece it all together here. And we'll see if we can. We'll see if we can, as the Raxes are getting up and running. Stats slipping in towards our main base. We'll confirm the missing Raxes. Hold up, where are your Raxes? Now, what's scary here is that in this matchup, the Rax could be in the natural, which is why he's checking. He's checking the natural. It could even be in the third. It could be further back in the main. Doesn't have to be a proxy. Like, often Terran players will fake a proxy Rax instead. And it's going to be double proxy Rax, Marauder. Oh boy. This was very trendy a couple of months ago. Oh, I say a couple of months ago. Like 6 months ago. Last map pool, this was very trendy. There was like a period, there was like a month where this is all that Clem was doing. Clem and Cure, just non-stop proxy 2x Marauder in the last map pool. And they had quite a lot of success with it. Eventually, because it was so common, it would be hard countered. Protoss players got better at defending against it, and this was phased out. But now it's back. It's back. It has returned. Marauders, they reveal themselves. They hit that natural base. Concussive shell is on the way. Because of that, Stats has to be very careful with his unit control. If he overextends, he will lose Stalkers. Or anything, really. So just be very careful with his movement. As we do focus on that Stalker. Ooh, and it is going to go down. Big pick up there by Cure. Second Stalker has right. We're going for the Stalker itself. Boys are being pulled. Boys are being pulled. One Marauder is going to go down. But the bunker should finish. The bunker should finish. There we go. Marauder does dive in. And with this bunker, Stats is going to have a very hard time breaking it. We have an SCV to repair. Is on repair duty. Shield batteries are finishing up. Overcharge soon to be available. Oof. Yeah, as we just waste the energy. We're running out of energy. We're running out of support. Ah. And probes are going down. We take control of the natural base. Now we have 2 more gateways on the way, but this production is so late. Yeah, and Curie snowballing out of control. Yeah, it does focus down the Stalkers. He gets one. How many shots? 1, 2, 3, 4. Up. Doesn't quite get the last Stalker. Overcharge keeps it alive, but it's running out. The overcharge does run out, and Cure, the numbers are just too heavily in his favor. It does focus down another Stalker. GG gets called, and Cure will take game number 2, tying up the series 1-1. GG. Ooh, just a very late reaction from Stats. You could see towards the end. He had 2 more gates on the way, and he had a robo on the way. We did need that robo. We needed immortal production. We needed additional gateways. Unfortunately, Stats also, not just lack of production, but he was also trying to defend the natural, and that is something that he could not do. We could not actually hold on to that natural base. We had to give up on it, defending on 1 base instead. It looks like maybe Stats is unfamiliar with this opener. Oh, sorry, unfamiliar with this cheese. Again, I don't know how much experience Stats has nowadays, especially since, you know, he did relatively recently come back. And, yeah, did struggle there in the defense. GG, well played. Cure forces the ace match. We're going all the way to game number 3. Let's go. Very quick and easy game number 2 there from Cure. Proxy 2-Rax Marauder. Stats just having a really hard time responding to it. And now we find ourselves in the ace match on Solaris. It all ends here. It all ends here, and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have our South Korean Terran player, our blue Terran representing Team Liquid, tying up the series 1-1 in the last game. It is Cure. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Protoss, the red Protoss player, representing himself, currently teamless, being forced into the ace match. It is Stats. Now, what we'll say about Stats, something that we saw in Game 1, something that we have seen before, not just in Game 1, but in previous series. Stats' late game army control. That is on point. That is up there, you know, with the other top tier players, with players like Classic and Hero. It's what he was able to make use of and how he was able to just outdo Cure in game number 1. But can we get there? That's the thing. Can we get to these maxed out armies where Stats can really thrive? Because getting there can be quite difficult. Cure coming in with an SCV scout, he's going in with an eBay block, and once again, he will get the eBay up and running. Stats this time much faster to respond. Probe is here, boys are being pulled. And he should be able to deny this eBay. There we go, 4 probes in total. Cure being quite an annoyance here. But eventually this is going to be forced to be cancelled, and Stats can expand. Oh. As he does zone that SCV away. There's the cancel, there's the expansion. Stats going for a gate, cyber expand on the other side. And Cure going to have to back off, going for that factory follow-up. Again, there is the option to go into Hellions. Oh, sorry, there's the option to go into Cyclones, but I imagine we could be going for an add-on swap just for Hellion production. We'll see. See which option we do go for. As Cure is going for a delayed command center. That's just how this build works. If you're going for an eBay, that means you don't have the money for a CC on the low ground. So we go for the factory instead. Stats coming in with a probe scout. Should get eyes on the delayed CC. To confirm that there is at least an expansion on the way.
I am here in the shadows.
Oh, does see the add-ons of production as well. We can see that we're getting into reactor marine production and Hellions alongside it. We saw something very similar in Game 1. If you remember, in Game 1, Cure, he opened up in a very similar fashion, going into a vanilla marine drop, which wasn't able to do much damage. Stats across the map going for a Twilight Council opener. unlike game 1, stats he was able to establish himself a little bit easier. Much cleaner early game out of stats. And we'll see if Cure goes for that medevac drop again. I don't know why. I keep wanting to say hero. I don't know why. It's like, that's like the second time this time. Heroes on the brain. There it is. Now we're getting the Cyclones. There's the medevac for the drop play. Just as we saw in game 1. And just like game 1 as well, Stats is going for a Twilight Council into Blink into 3 gateways. So 3 gate Blink out of Stats, 1 gateway in the main, 2 gateways here at the natural. Again, just a really safe way to open up. Very safe. This will lead into a third. We'll see if from this point he goes into a third base, into a forge, into a Templar Archives, which would be for Charge and Storm again. Or he could go into something more standard, which would be, yep, a Robo, into a Bay, into Colossus production. Oh wait, what? Wait, yeah, sorry. Some reason I thought this was the Robo. I was very confused. This is not 3 gates, by the way. That is a 4th gateway. We're going 4 gate Blink. Job comes in. Ooh, big scouts. We get eyes on the 2nd gateway in the main base. We get eyes on the 2 gateways here at the natural. Cure, he sees everything. He sees all 4 gateways. Tank production has commenced. Stats being hyper aggressive. 4 gate Blink is a way to shut down the drop and to immediately counterattack and to commit. There it is. War Prism is on the way. More Stalkers in production as well. Now again, Cure, he has full information. Good Sim City as well. 2 more Maxes. We basically create a wall. And the tank is going to be on the other side of said wall. Stalkers are moving out. We do have a shield battery to defend back at home. But no units in position. As Stats is committing. Stalkers have been scouted. Cure sees the move out. He has that 1 tank in the main. He has a second tank in production. 1 bunker at the natural. This natural base is looking a little bit exposed. There is a bunker. Yes. There we go. He pre-pulls the SCVs he sees to repair. Even Cure, he sees how vulnerable this base is. But we blink into the main. Tank is in position. Tech Lab is going to be going down, but we get some big volleys up here on the Stalkers. Ooh. Stalkers getting low. 2nd tank has arrived. At the same time, Cure going ham in the main. Only a handful of Stalkers to defend. Stats, he is committed. Boys are being pulled. Stalkers are going down. And big tank shots. Oof. We bleed out far too much. Stalkers, they get cleaned up. Across the map, we kill 11 probes. 12. Auto Tartaras here at the natural. Late reaction out of Stats. 13 probes go down. And Stats, he's in a lot of trouble. He is down in the economy, and this build is already not economic to begin with. The 3rd base is late because we're doubling down on Stalkers and we have not dealt enough damage. This build has to get economic damage done, and it's not been enough. I say economic damage, I mean at least resetting the tank counts. Killing tanks, killing workers. We do get a couple of SCVs. But Cure is holding. He's holding, he's defending. We have Stim on the way. +1 attack as well. Continued tank production. We have soon to be 2 tanks. Ooh, Raven does go down. Sorry, did I say Raven? Medevac goes down. Across the map. A bit of a brutal loss there. We dive on top of the bunker. Bunker does fall. Stats, can we break through? Again, so much pressure on Stats right now to get damage done. He dives on the tank, but oh, he gets punished for the dive. The Stalkers are getting annihilated by the Marines. There were just too many here in position. Stats, he got a tank, but again, at what cost? At the cost of 7 Stalkers for 1 tank. Aye, aye, aye. 10 SCVs as well, but still not ideal. Raven still across the map. And Stats is all in. Stats, he's all in at this point. He does focus on that tank. Gets 1, but 2 volleys, but Stim is now done. Once again, we punish that blink. And Cure chases this down. 1 tank for 5 Stalkers. Oof. Cure maintains his worker lead, has a tank on the high ground. Volley goes up. Stats, he avoids the tank, tries to at least. Once again, he is cornered. Yeah, the Marines, they stand their ground. They're still on board. 3 Stalkers escape. GG gets called. That's not good enough. And Cure will take the series 2-1. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations here to Cure. I was shocked to see Stats go for 4-gate blink. Again, I feel like Stats, his strengths, they lie in a longer game, in the mid game, towards the late game. That's where Stats can be his strongest. Instead, Stats, he tried to spice it up here, hyper aggressive with his build, but unfortunately he was punished for it. As Stats was committing with his 4-gate blink Stalkers, the Marine drop did even more damage. Remember, the Marine drop alongside the Raven Harass killed 13 probes. 13 probes died. And unfortunately, Cure saw everything. That's the flip side of things. Cure, he scouted all 4 gateways before we even moved out. So he was fully aware of what was happening. That's why he had beautiful Sim City. That's why he was already getting into tank production. And that's why he pre-pulled the SCVs to save that bunker on the low ground as well. Like Cure, he was fully aware of what Stats was doing, and he was able to prepare and shut it down. So GG, well played. Really good scouting out of Cure, and just a really unfortunate position for Stats, as he was scouted and he was seen. And in the end, Stats, he was just all in. Like at a certain point, it was damned if you do, damned if you don't. If he had tried to back off and take a third, then he'd just be behind. And being behind against Cure, or just being at that big of a deficit against a player of the caliber of Cure, is just something you can't do. You just cannot recover from there. So it was all in. GG, well played. Congratulations. Congratulations to Cure for taking the series 2-1 and for making it out of Group B, because we have wrapped up with our coverage of Group B. GG, well played. Whew. To wrap things up, of course, as we did cast all of the matches, Shin came out in first place. Shin, he came out in first place. We saw Shin pop off in this group, by the way. Shin, he was able to take down Stats 2-0. He 2-0'd Cure, and he 2-0'd Clem. That was a big win that we casted earlier today. Shin, he popped off against Terran players. He did lose against Bunny, but he went to the ace match. Went all the way to the ace match, and Bunny was able to bring Shin down. Again, Bunny recently has been looking really strong in ZBT. Sorry, in TVZ. Where Bunny, he took down Shin at IEM, and Bunny took down Dark in the GSL qualifiers. If you missed it, we casted the GSL qualifiers a couple of days ago for this season of GSL, and Bunny, again, was looking terrifying in the Terran versus Zerg matchup. Unfortunately, and not just that, I mean, even here, we saw Bunny pop off in TvT, and I'm just double checking. So, Shin, he came out in first place in this group. Cure came out in second. Cure, his only loss was against Shin, by the way. He only lost against Shin. Cure beat everyone else. Bunny, Oliveira, Stats, and Clem. And Clem and Bunny were neck and neck. And I was really curious here. It's close, but yes. If Bunny had 2-0'd Clem, then Bunny makes it out, and Clem doesn't. Like, honestly, it came down to that series. It did come down to that TvT, and that's that much more brutal. That's so sad. But yeah, we have confirmation. If Bunny had taken that game on Hecate, if he had 2-0'd Clem, then he would have advanced on, which would have been crazy, by the way. It would have been wild if Clem didn't make it out of the group stage, but he also rolled a really rough group. We spoke about it, but we spoke about it in the lead up to IEM. When I saw the groups initially, I was like, ooh, a TvT group, that's not good for Clem. Like, TvT is Clem's worst matchup, and for him to be stuck in a group with Cure and Bunny and Oliveira was a scary thing. Made it through anyway, but again, it was still so close, and it's a little bit on Bunny there, and hopefully, I mean, hopefully that bodes well. Like, the bright side of it, if you're a fan of Bunny, is that, hey, clearly, if Bunny, like, if he can take it to Clem, if he can take it to these other Terran players, like, his TvT is looking strong, right? It's like his ZVT is looking terrifying. We saw it against Dark, we saw it against Shin. It bodes well for Bunny coming into GSL. right? Like, remember, he qualified for GSL over Dark. He's going to be in this most recent season, this upcoming season of GSL. So look forward to watching more Bunny in the Global StarCraft League. So, you know, that's the bright side here. If you're a fan of Bunny and if you want more Bunny action, he's clearly in form. He's clearly in form coming into GSL. So definitely a player to look out for. I wouldn't be surprised if he makes a deep run. I'm not saying he's going to win the whole thing, but like a solid at least quarterfinals run, maybe semifinals run for Bunny. I can see it. I can see it. Depending on the groups and depending on the bracket. We'll see. On the other side, you know, Oliveira had a bit of a harder time here as well. Quickly just double checking. Yeah, Oliveira, he fell to Shin, Cure, and Clem. I had some really nice TVTs, don't get me wrong. But again, the TvT matchup has been shifting around a lot, and Oliveira does have to adapt here and embrace the new TvT matchup, which is a shame because Oliveira, he excelled so well last year at IEM, and a part of that was because of his Terran versus Terran, you know, positional play, map awareness, map control. Like, TvT was a very different matchup a year ago, which is kind of crazy to say. I feel like mirror matchups very rarely change, but because of the new patch, because of the new map pool and the new Cyclone, TvT is very different. It's very different nowadays, and all of our Terran players here have to adapt, have to embrace, whether they like the new Cyclone or not, they have to embrace it if they want to get good at it. And it is something that Oliveira has to come to terms with, I feel. Regardless, GG, well played. Solid group there. And we have wrapped up here for the day. We wrapped up, Bobby. Oh, beautiful. Tell the truth, you're staying in Poland for good, aren't you? No. I've already mentioned, I'm coming back to Australia next month. Next month, I'm coming back to Australia, which means we're going to have cams again. We will eventually have cams again. It's all coming back. It's all coming back. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Cams are coming back, but that's gonna be in March. We'll be back in March. I look forward to it. Look forward to it once again. I don't look forward to having to have a worse sleep schedule. Like I've mentioned this before, it is so much easier casting in Europe because a lot of events are just easier and like friendlier for the European time zone. Maybe that's a better way of putting it. Not so much for Australian time zones, as yeah. We'll have to readjust my sleep schedule when that does come to pass. But regardless, no, I do look forward to it. I miss my kangaroos, Papi. I miss my platypus. Platypus. But yeah, with that, thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for the support. We do appreciate it. We do appreciate it. Our next broadcast is going to be tomorrow. Technically, so I do have the replays for ESL Americas. For ESL Cup Americas, I have the replays. We can schedule a cast for it. I could cast it later on tonight, but I think I'm going to save it for next week. I'm going to save it for next week just because this week we were so busy with the GSL qualifiers. Next week we have some free days. We have some free days available. So I can just schedule and organize the ESL Americas Cups then. I think that's going to be the plan. So yeah, our next broadcast is going to be tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to be going over something different, something special, a one-off, a show match. Hyper One has organized a show match here between two lovely players. It's going to be a best of 7 between Gemini and Universe. Yeah. It's going to be a best of 7 show match here in just under 24 hours. Look forward to it. Gemini versus Universe. Universe, for those who don't know, he is a Korean Terran player. Pretty similar skill level to Gemini. If you don't know who Gemini is, he's GGE Mini. I think there are some numbers towards the end. But Gemini, he is the social media guy behind Onside. Onside Gaming. He is, of course, in charge of the Twitter, in charge of the social media. So if you see some memes from Onside, Gemini, he's the person behind those memes. And he's also a big part of the community. He's a big part of All Things Protoss, the All Things Protoss Reddit. He's a big part of that. He also does Protoss Warlock guides, so he's very useful. If you're a Protoss player, if you're laddering, if you've looked up Warlock guides for Protoss matchups in every new map pool, Gemini has you covered there. I think he also posts like builds and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been a big part of the community, and you know, even works in a little bit. Does live in Korea. I think he's a teacher. I think he's an English teacher in Korea, if I remember correctly. But yes, there is a bit of a show match going on in 24 hours, so we got you covered there. Show match, man. Show match. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Gonna be a lot of good fun. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for the support. We'll see you guys tomorrow for that show match. We also have, after the show match, we have tomorrow the Logic Games. The hell is the Logic Games? Well, Bappy. It is gonna be a pretty big tournament. There's quite a lot of money behind it. It's going to be a $400 USD prize pool. It's going to be double elimination bracket here. Nothing too fancy, but it's going to be just a really big bracket, a really big tournament. Shout out to all the people sponsoring it. There are sponsors like Logic, Hyper One is behind it as well. It's a part of it. It's a part of the overseas circuit, and yeah, it's going to be a pretty big tournament on Saturday, so we will indulge. I'm looking at the bracket right now. We have players like Björn, players like Azura, Mia Micah, Echo Soldier. I do see Forjumi. Honmono, Hatsu is there. Who else do I recognize? Cristiano, Arez, Jomek, Kot, Nickrat, Iba. I see Iba there. Middle. It's a massive. Oh my god! How many rounds? We have like a round of what? Like 128? Oh my god. We have Gref, Mixu, Aristory, Neo Shaggy, Universe. I'll be honest, the biggest name I see here is Björn. Ooh, and I don't know who's the second biggest name. Who can contest against Björn? I don't see Max Pax. I don't see Clem. I don't see any of the other big European. I think the biggest names to contest against Björn is going to be the Polish players, or the Polish Protosses. Geralt and Cristiano. Maybe Nickeract. Nickeract is a TvT sniper. He's beaten Björn before. Maybe Nickeract. Maybe Jumi. It's going to be a brutal bracket. It's going to be who can stop Björn? Who can stop him? We'll find out. But a really big bracket. So look forward to it. Also on Saturday. Otherwise, thank you for watching. Thank you for the support. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow replays. Tomorrow live. No. Sunday. We're going to be going over viewer replays on Sunday because that is the return of the Sparkling Tuna Cup. That's going to be on Sunday. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Thanks for the support. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Until then, we're going to be continuing the IEM broadcast coverage next week with Group C. Group C will be next week. Look forward to it. Until then, hasta luego. Ciao, papi, ciao. Hasta luego.
Making history. Absolutely phenomenal.
And Ace is the champion of the Intel Extreme Masters World Finals.
Storm's still not quite done. MC is going to take this fight, though. 3 seconds left.
Last 2 rounds of match. It's got to start it well for ESC.